There is a particular kind of exhaustion that nobody talks about. It is not the tiredness that comes from working too hard or sleeping too little. It is deeper than that. It settles in your chest. It follows you into rooms before you even open the door. It is the exhaustion of spending your whole life wondering what other people think of you. You know this feeling. Maybe you said something at a dinner table and then spent 3 days replaying it, worrying about how it landed. Maybe you posted something, then checked it obsessively, measuring your worth in small numbers. Maybe you dressed differently, laughed differently, spoke differently, not because that was who you were, but because you were quietly auditioning. Always auditioning for roles you never really wanted to play. This is not weakness. This is what happens to almost every human being who grows up wanting to belong. We are wired for connection. We needed the tribe to survive once, and the brain learned early that rejection is dangerous. So it built a system. A constant, humming, invisible system that scans every room, every conversation, every silence for signs of disapproval. It watches faces. It reads tones. It measures pauses. And it never, ever rests. But here is what that system costs you. It costs you your actual life. Not the dramatic version, not some grand sacrifice. It costs you the small, quiet, daily moments where you could have been yourself, but weren't. The opinion you swallowed, the dream you didn't mention, the outfit you put back on the hanger, the sentence you started and then pulled back mid-breath because you suddenly weren't sure how it would be received. All of that adds up. All of those small surrenders become a habit, and one day you look up and realize you don't actually know what you think anymore, because you have been so busy thinking about what others think of you. That is the moment this conversation is for. That moment of honest, quiet recognition. You have been performing, and you are tired. And somewhere inside you, something real is waiting to come out. There was a woman named Clara who worked at a small bakery in a town where everybody knew everybody. Clara was warm and generous and funny in private, but in public, she was careful. She measured every word. She baked what people expected her to bake. Plain loaves, simple cakes, nothing strange, nothing bold. She told herself it was good business sense, but at home, alone on Sunday mornings, Clara made extraordinary things. She folded cardamom into butter. She layered dark chocolate with bitter orange. She made bread that smelled like a memory you couldn't quite name. She ate it alone, standing at her kitchen counter, and she thought, quietly, privately, that it was the best thing she had ever made. One week, by accident, she brought a loaf of her cardamom bread to the counter. She had been distracted. She forgot to swap it out. A customer bought it without her even noticing. And the next morning, that customer came back. Then another. Then 3 more. They did not come quietly. They came with wide eyes and words like, "I have never tasted anything like this." Clara had spent 15 years hiding her best self because she was afraid people would find it strange. And all along, her strange was exactly what someone needed. The need for approval does not protect you from rejection. It just makes sure that what gets rejected is never actually you. It is always the costume, the performance, the safer, smaller version. And there is a special kind of loneliness in being praised for something that is not real, because even the praise feels hollow. Even the applause doesn't quite reach you. Think about the people in your life whose opinion you fear the most. Really think about them. How much time do they spend thinking about you? How carefully are they tracking your choices? The uncomfortable truth is, almost none of them are watching as closely as you imagine. The audience you are performing for is mostly in your own mind. It is a theater you built. You are the only one buying tickets every single night. There was a young man, call him Daniel, who wanted to be a writer. He had notebooks full of ideas, strange, vivid, personal ideas that felt dangerous to him because they were so close to the truth of who he was. He kept them hidden. Instead, he wrote things he thought were acceptable, safe essays, careful opinions. He sent them out into the world, and they were received with polite indifference, which somehow hurt more than silence. One night, sitting alone, he opened a notebook from 3 years earlier. He read something he had written and then quickly buried. It was raw. It was honest. It was a little broken in places, and it was alive. He could feel it. It had a pulse. He rewrote it slowly, and he put it into the world. The response changed his life, not because it was universally praised. It wasn't. Some people didn't understand it at all, but the people who felt it deeply, and those were the only people who mattered. He had finally stopped writing for the blur of imagined critics and started writing for the specific, real, waiting hearts of people who needed exactly what he had to give. That is what happens when you stop performing. You stop speaking to everyone in general and start reaching someone in particular. So how do you actually do this? How do you loosen the grip of a habit that runs so deep? You start by noticing, not judging, noticing. The next time you feel yourself shifting, shrinking, adjusting, just pause for a moment and ask, am I doing this because it is true to me, or am I doing this to manage someone else's reaction? That question alone is quietly revolutionary, because you cannot change what you cannot see. Then you practice the small rebellions, not the dramatic ones, not burning your life down, the quiet ones. Say the true thing in a low-stakes conversation. Wear the thing you actually like. Order the meal you actually want. Choose the weekend plan that genuinely restores you. These feel small. They are not small. Each one is a message you send to yourself. My own experience is real and it matters. You also have to grieve something, and this is the part most people skip. You have to grieve the approval you were always hoping to receive, but that never quite came. From a parent, maybe. From a group that never fully let you in. From someone whose love felt conditional on your performance. That grief is real. It deserves space. Because if you do not grieve it, you will keep chasing it in different rooms with different people forever. And you need to start asking a different question. Not what will people think, but what do I actually believe? Not how will this look, but how does this feel? Not will this be accepted, but is this true? Truth has a texture. You can feel it in your body when you speak it. A small, quiet settling, like something finally landing in the place it was always meant to go. Let other people's opinions be weather. It changes. It is not personal. You do not stop living because it rains. You put on a coat. You keep walking. Here is what waits for you on the other side of this. Not a perfect life. Not universal love. Not the permanent silence of doubt. What waits is something quieter and better than all of that. It is the experience of taking up space and feeling like it belongs to you, of saying something and meaning it, of making choices that feel like choices, not like negotiations with invisible judges. It is the feeling of walking into a room and not scanning it for threats, but just being in it. Present, whole, enough. You will lose some approval when you do this. That is true. Some people are only comfortable with the version of you that asked for nothing. When you stop asking for permission, they get uneasy. Let them. Their unease is not your emergency. The people worth keeping are the ones who stay when you become more yourself, not less. And they exist. They are out there right now, looking for someone real, tired of performances, tired of carefully curated versions of people, hungry for something honest and warm and actually human. You are allowed to be that person. You are allowed to be the thing you really are, underneath all the adjusting and shrinking and hoping. Stop performing for people who are not even watching. Start living for the one person who is always there. That person is you, and they have been waiting long enough.